Welcome to the Confidence in You podcast, designed to help you build confidence and create positive, lasting change in your life. And here's your host, Helen Luxford.
Hi, just a quick note before we get started today. If you would like to watch today's episode, please head across to my YouTube channel, Helen Luxford. Otherwise, just keep listening. Here it comes now.
Hi everyone, and welcome back again today to the podcast. Today we are joined by the amazing Melanie Yeoh, and I can't wait to hear about her journey from scientist to healer. Melanie is a qualified scientist, kinesiologist and mindset coach, and she was fortunate enough to meet Superman, Christopher Reeve, 18 years ago when she was working as a scientist in a spinal cord injury research. And this meeting with Christopher Reeve, Superman, changed her life forever because it made her realise just how life can change in an instant and how important it is to pursue her dreams and ambitions and do what makes her happy. And so, 13 years ago, Melanie started her dream of running her own business as a remedial massage therapist. And she quickly grew her practice into a 3-room clinic, employing 6 staff in the heart of Sydney CBD. And she discovered during this time that many of her clients' issues were not always physical. She observed a significant link between her clients' mental and emotional stress levels and how it would impact the person's body. So armed with her knowledge of how the physical body worked, she decided that she wanted to learn more about the mind-body-spirit connection. And she invested in learning more about kinesiology, energy medicine, NLP, and coaching. And 1 year ago, due to the impact of COVID, Melanie decided that it was time to finally close the doors on her remedial massage clinic and follow her heart once again. Combining her knowledge of science and spirit, her experience of her business, and her passion for helping others, Melanie now dedicates her life to coaching and mentoring other healers, coaches, and wellness practitioners to eliminate self-sabotage and grow a prosperous business. So let's give a warm welcome today to Melanie. Thanks for being here with us, Melanie.
Thank you so much for having me here, Helen.
It's so great to have you on the podcast, and I don't know you that well. And so for those that don't know you at all, tell us a little bit about your journey so far and what you're doing now.
Okay, so basically, as you mentioned, I used to be a scientist. I studied biomed at uni, and I knew I always had a passion for helping people, and I thought it had to be through the medical route. But what I realised was I definitely had more of a passion for natural therapies, and that meeting with Christopher Reeve really, really struck me because I realised how important touch was. And from then on, I decided that I needed to take action straight away and actually do what made me happy, which was, study remedial massage and then create my own business being a massage therapist. And little did I know the journey that would take me on, because I guess that's what life is all about, really, isn't it? Following your passion and seeing where it takes you. And I was fortunate enough to start my own business, and this was 13 years ago. And in my second year of business, I got so stressed out. Like, I'd never run a business before. I'd never worked for myself before. It was all new to me. And the body is an amazing thing. And so what my body decided to do was to create a condition called psoriasis.
Oh.
Yeah, it just so happened to be all over my hands and my elbows. And of course, as a massage therapist, it's not the greatest look, is it?
No.
And so I went to the doctor. They sent me to a dermatologist, and all they said was, look, here, take some oral corticosteroids and let's just treat the symptoms, and that's it. And I guess in my heart of hearts, I knew that wasn't going to be the solution and that there was something else going on, because I'd never had this before. And I had this belief that if my body could create something, I could also uncreate it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to, at that point in my life, meet a kinesiologist. And I had no idea what kinesiology was. But there was a little voice inside of me that just said to me, go and see them. And so I did. And yeah, it was crazy. It was so crazy because I have no idea what happened in that first session, I thought it was the weirdest thing in the world. I don't know if you've ever had a kinesiology session before.
Yes, and my first kinesiology session, I had no idea what I was walking into, and I felt exactly the same way. I don't know how she fixed me because it was just weird how she did it, but it worked, and I was a true believer from then on.
I know, right? I know. And, you know, for me as well, after that first session, the next day, I woke up and my symptoms had reduced by about 30%. I was just so amazed, and I was like, what is this magic? And so that started me on just this journey of self-discovery and, I guess, self-actualization, because it made me realize that we are more than just our physical bodies. We are bigger than just who we are. And there's so much, I guess, interconnectedness in how the world works that I was just on a mission to learn more. And so I ended up studying like 5 different streams of modality. I did NLP, I did coaching, I did Reiki, I developed my mediumship skills, and it really took me down, I guess, more of a spiritual route as well. Yeah, so for that I am so, so, so grateful. And one of the things that I realized was because I was doing all this inner work on myself, it was really helping me to grow my business at a rapid rate.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fantastic. And then, as you know, COVID happened. I had a remedial massage clinic right in the middle of Sydney CBD. All of a sudden, we're all in lockdown and everyone's working from home. My staff decided they didn't need to come in because they were getting, you know, paid from the government. And there was nobody in the city anyway. And I really tried to make that business work until I realized that I was pushing and pushing and pushing against something that had so much resistance that I was like, hang on a second, what's going on here? And when I tapped into and tuned into myself, I realized that, well, hang on, my passion wasn't just for remedial massage anymore. It was really about kinesiology and being connected and working with spirit and working on a deeper level on, I guess, different levels and dimensions as well. And so a year ago, I decided that it was time to finally close the doors on my clinic and work full-time as a kinesiologist and coach, helping other business owners, especially healers, coaches, and wellness practitioners to grow their business, because I know that I can impact a whole lot more people if I help the people who help the people.
Exactly. And you touched on something earlier that when you were working on yourself, that it helped your business grow. And that's something that I talk about a lot as well, is that when we do our own personal development and we work on ourselves, it has a ripple effect, not just, it helps us, but it has a ripple effect, not just on those close to us, which obviously it touches them, but it has a ripple effect in the broader community. And the work that you're doing with other business owners would also have a ripple effect on you're working with those people, and those people are working with other people, and those people have got families and communities, and that ripple effect, it just spreads out. So it's really important to acknowledge and accept that we work on ourselves, but we also work on we are all interconnected, and our work, we become more clear in what we want and more aligned with what we want, which helps our immediate family, friends, loved ones, but also the broader community. And then that helps them, and then that helps them. So, yeah. So you've clearly started life as a scientist. Wow, right? And working on the spinal cord injury stuff. How amazing that must have been. I can only imagine. What innate skills or habits do you do or have that help you to be your best self, or help you to live your life to the fullest?
That's a great question. And I guess part of it is just realizing that it's okay to slow down.
Yeah, that's a really important message.
Yeah, and I guess for me, this year really taught me a lot, because I went through so much transformation and healing, and I literally took I would say, almost 12 months off my business.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was transitioning as well into doing what I'm doing now, because again, you know when you're not in alignment, when your body shows you symptoms of stress or pain or disease.
Yeah.
And this is something I haven't shared with anyone apart from the people who know me before. But what happened to me earlier this year was that my face actually started blowing up. And I know that my skin is, I guess, my weak point. And it was, if you can imagine having a red, swollen, tomato-like face for
Wow.
months on end, that was me. And on top of that, Helen, I had to have surgery.
Oh.
And that then knocked me out for ages. So this year has been a major, major learning curve. And so when you talk about habits on how to help yourself, I think it's really about learning how to listen in, tune into yourself, tune into your intuition, and take the path of least resistance. Now, as somebody who is a hyperachiever, it can be really hard. And I think there's this emphasis for a lot of people, especially business owners, to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah.
However, if you're pushing and you're experiencing resistance and everything seems hard and horrible and just not flowing, it's probably because there's a misalignment. And so for me, it's really all about recognizing where you're not feeling aligned, whether that's mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, or even energetically, and bringing yourself back to you.
Yeah. You said that your skin is your weak point, and I just want to query that a little bit more with you, because is it your weak point, or is it your signal to self to slow down and look at things? Because it's sending you a message that, hang on a minute, you're probably running too hard or pushing yourself. So if we don't listen to those signs, which is exactly what you're saying, we listen to the signs of our body and our intuition. If we don't, I've noticed for myself and with my clients that the universe sends us messages in different ways. So it gives us a little feather tickle that, something's not quite right. So that might just be that you've got a blotch on your skin. And then if you don't listen to that, it sends you a bit of a slap, right? It'll send you a bigger message. And then if you don't listen to that, it'll send you an avalanche, right? So that it'll put things in your path that will send the message that you need to hear. And it sounds like for you that you were running hard and you were pushing and pushing, and your face blowing up like a tomato was the avalanche of you need to stop, slow down and look at things differently. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. And, there's so many metaphorical meanings that you can put to it as well. Was it I didn't want to show up, or I didn't want to show myself?
Yeah.
I didn't want to face the world. I don't know. But this is the beauty about kinesiology as well, because we're really able to start to look at what the root cause of the issue is, rather than just treat the symptom, which is the skin condition.
Yeah.
And for me, this whole year was really about learning how to really go deep and heal myself from a vibrational point of view, because that when we work with our own energy and bring ourselves back into alignment, that is the best thing that we can do for ourselves. And that's the way that we can create and manifest whatever we desire in this world, because everything is energy, and energy is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. So you've clearly worked with a lot of clients since you started your own business 13 years ago. And what is the one that stands out for you, or what is the best feedback you've received from a client, or the most memorable change you've helped someone make, or what's one that pops into mind when we talk about helping your clients?
Oh gosh, don't make me pick, Helen.
I know it's a hard question. It is a hard one, because I think about my clients and I've got about so many that pop into my head, or I could talk about that or this. So just pick one.
I guess at the end of the day, it's when they realize that they can be who they are.
Yeah.
And let
so
go.
Powerful.
Yeah. And just really by working on themselves, let go of all their fears or their limitations, change those self-sabotage habits, and create and be who they want to be in alignment with their business.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'm actually going to a breathwork retreat this weekend being held by one of my clients. And when I first started working with them at the start of this year, they'd been putting off doing this retreat for years. And now that this is like, I think the third one that they've conducted in the space of 6 months.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and I'm just so thrilled for them because they're finding balance in their life and doing what they love and getting paid for it.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, when you're able to really, I call it following your joy, when you can follow your joy and do what makes you happy, that really is the secret to life, I think, and the meaning of life. So for me, when I hear from my clients that they're doing something that they love, they're being recognized for it, they're able to support themselves as a result of it and do more of it, I think that for me just lights my heart up.
Yeah. Isn't it a wonderful feeling when your clients have that aha moment that it's okay to come back to self and to be who they probably might have lost touch with over the years because of environmental or, societal expectations, and they're trying to please everyone, and you can't please everyone, and then they just end up disconnected from self. So coming back to self is really, really important. So if I asked you that we're going to create a movie about you, or we're going to have a billboard with you on it, if you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it be and why?
Oh, goodness. All right. One of my mantras that I say to myself all the time, and I try to live by as much as possible, and again, it's kind of following the path of least resistance, which is the path of most joy, is if it's not fun, it won't get done.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah, so I think life is about enjoying it, having fun, and doing what makes you happy.
Yeah, that's really, really good. So you've transitioned into your new business now, and you're in your first 12 months in that. So what is it about how you work with your clients that makes you different?
Great question. And I think for me, it's really about combining science and spirit together. And although I love working with business owners, I do work with non-business owners as well. A lot of it is just realizing that when you're in business, it's not just about strategy. There's so many business coaches out there who'll teach you strategies until the cows come home. But if you've got blocks around actually implementing the strategy, whether they're mental, emotional, or even, I guess, energetic blocks, because you just can't do it, then it doesn't matter how much you know, because to know and not to do is not to know, right?
Right.
And so for me, what I believe helps to set me apart is, well, having the experience of running my own business for 13 years. So I do know a lot of strategies that work, and I've tried a lot of strategies that don't work.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I can tell you what not to do, 100%.
Oh.
But it's also about making sure that your energy is aligned with what you want to create. And as a kinesiologist, one of the things that I do best is help people with their energy and to align themselves mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, as well as energetically, not only within themselves, but with their business as well, because your business has its own energy too.
Yes.
So it's about making sure that both of them are in alignment. And, as you mentioned before as well, when you do the inner work, it makes it so much easier for the outer world to flow.
Yeah, and to align to you and come into your energetic field, because what we think and feel and how we act attracts to us either as a person and our business. So I think that alignment of energy for you connecting with your business is really powerful, because I know that when I got that right, it's amazing how effortless and easier things become in life. And so when I work with my clients, helping them align to their true self and what's important to them, and they go, wow, I feel so different, and they look different, and their energy is back because they're energetically aligned to self, right? And with you helping business owners be energetically aligned with themselves and their business, and I can only imagine how powerful that is.
Yeah, thank you.
That's okay. So on the podcast, we talk about confidence, self-esteem, because I think if we have a good self-esteem and have some confidence about how we go about things, it makes a difference in our life, and it does help us align energetically. So what's the best bit of advice or a tip that you could give someone who may be self-doubting or lacking confidence or looking for clarity at the moment? What's a tip or a bit of advice you can give?
The number one thing that springs to mind, Helen, and I'm going to be brutally honest here because that's kind of how I roll, is to get a coach.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say this is because the coach can help you to identify what you can't see, to help you to see what's in your blind spots, and to actually help you to put in strategies and work with your mindset, which is something that I do a lot, in helping to build that confidence. Because for me, it's about just, I guess, taking little steps as well. If you can't go from someone who's quite shy and retiring like I used to be petrified of public speaking, and I've taken steps to building up my confidence in that, and just doing things that feels like the next best step. So you don't say, if you wanted to go out there and do workshops or something like that, right, and you're not currently doing them, and it kind of petrifies you, what's the next best step that you can do? Is it starting to do things over Zoom, starting to do it in small groups? What is it that feels good? You want to start building your confidence by building how good you feel, because at the end of the day, it all comes down to your energy. And the better you feel, the more confident you'll be. So I guess at the end of the day, it's just focusing on what is the next best thing that's going to make you feel good.
Yeah. And I have a couple of coaches that I work with and mentors, and I can't tell you how valuable and important it is to have a coach to help me through. Sometimes we just have a chat and I have an aha moment, or sometimes I'm facing a blockage, or sometimes I'm just not sure what to do next, or I'm running hard and I'm not getting that traction that I'm looking for. And then having a conversation with me and allowing me to stop and slow down, and they might ask a question and I go, oh, so simple, but I can't see it, right?
100%.
Because I'm in it. And so having a coach there, and also they point out to me what I have done well and where I can draw on that experience now for a different situation, and helping you acknowledge the skills and abilities that you've already got that you may have forgotten about, or your really, really big strength that you have, you don't realize it's a strength because it just comes naturally to you. So you underestimate the value of that. And having a coach or a mentor help you identify that has been really powerful for me personally as well. So yeah, I totally agree with that bit of advice. I think that's a great piece of advice. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience today?
I guess at the end of the day, it's just really about doing what makes you feel good. Because the better you feel, the better energy you're going to be able to put out there and attract as well. And so care about how you feel. And so if you're not feeling great and you don't feel like doing something, you don't have to push yourself. It's like recognizing what the path of least resistance is for you is going to help your life flow a lot more, because it's also at the end of the day about being in alignment with who you are and where you're at. And I know for myself, no matter how much work I do on myself, there's always layers, there's always different dimensions, and there's always different challenges that might show up. But it's all okay, because everything is always working out for you.
Yeah.
And everything is perfect the way it is. And
Yeah.
I think it's really important to remember that, because it's how you frame what happens to you.
Yeah.
And how you deal with things in life.
And that is so true. We do have different levels, and we step up and we level up to this level, and then there'll be a new challenge, and we'll step up and level up to that, and then there'll be a new challenge. And as someone said to me recently, new level, new devil, right? So it's just part of life, is that we level up, and then we're more experienced, we're more confident, we're more skilled and able to look at things. And sometimes that leveling up helps you see things differently. And you go, oh, right, well, I'd never have seen that 6 months ago, 12 months ago, but I can see it now. So you've leveled up, and then you see a new challenge in front of you. And that's okay, because that's part of life, isn't it? Is growing and learning and continuing to evolve as humans. And
yeah, absolutely.
We do that by learning more and facing into challenges and seeing things differently. I want to touch on something you just spoke about, though, about feeling good, because that is such an important thing that I don't think we talk about enough, is listening to our body and connecting in with making ourselves feel good. Because quite often we put aside what's important to us because we're focused on running or achieving or doing. But tapping back into, I'm not feeling quite right today. What is it that's a little bit out of whack? And allowing yourself the time and space to sit with that, reconnect, identify, and then do something to help shift that not quite right feeling. So it could be it could be meditation, it could be reading, it could be walking. It's something that brings you joy, that brings you back into alignment with self and helping you be reconnected. And also just allowing yourself the space and recognizing, I'm running at about 70% today. And if I give 70%, then that's 100% of what I've got to give today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and cutting yourself some slack that 70% is the best I've got today, and that's okay, because I'm giving 100% of what I've got available.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because, again, when there's resistance, there's misalignment.
Yeah.
And it's learning to recognize when that happens, and then instead of trying to push through it, choosing the path of least resistance to feeling good.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes that's doing nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've shared some fantastic things with us today. So where can people find you if they want more?
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at The Business Kinesiologist, or you can find me on Facebook, also The Business Kinesiologist, or Melanie Yeoh. And I guess if you wanted to give me a call, you can get in touch with Helen, because you've got my details, right?
Absolutely. And I'll put in the show notes the links to your Insta and Facebook, and people can slip into your DMs on there if they want to know more. And I just want to thank you for spending time with us and sharing your wisdom with us today, Melanie. It's been wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
That's all right. All right, everybody. Until next time, we'll see you on the next podcast. Thanks and bye for now.